Hi friends, welcome to my channel, Yaya's Heart Tarot. Today I'll be doing a pick a card reading for messages from departed loved ones. I'll have 3 different groups to choose from, and those groups will be linked to timestamps in the description below. So once we get into that and you've chosen your reading, you can simply drop down to the description box and choose whichever reading you would like to go to, and it'll take you directly there. Before we do that, however, I did have some messages during my meditation with regard to who might be coming through for some of you, so I'd like to go over those first. Most of these were just flashes, and they were sort of non-specific. Sorry, I just remembered something I forgot to write down. Okay, so they're just kind of ideas of who might be coming through for you. So I'm going to throw these out there, and if it resonates with you, great, that's who's coming through. If none of these resonate with you, that's fine. There will be some indications within the reading as well to let you know who's coming through. So the first vision that I saw was a goldfish and a newspaper. So this could have been someone who worked in a fish market. It could have been someone who had a fish bowl on their breakfast table and sat and read the newspaper with the goldfish bowl sitting next to them or near them. It could have been someone, it could have just been someone who had some fish. It could have been someone who gave you a pet fish. It could have been someone who loved fishing, someone who went out on maybe a Sunday, maybe Sundays in the morning and sat and read the newspaper while they fished on the dock. So some connection between a fish, in particular, it seemed to be a goldfish, but it may not entirely, it might not only include a goldfish, and a newspaper. The next vision that I saw was of birds or feathers. So this could have been someone, a departed loved one, who kept birds, who had birds in a cage in their home. It could have been a departed loved one who liked to dress with feathers, someone who had feathers on their clothing or feathers on their jewelry, perhaps feather earrings or feather necklaces or feathers in their hair. This may have been someone who was a bird watcher. This may have been someone who fed birds at a bird feeder in their yard. Maybe you spent time together with this departed loved one watching the birds at the bird feeder or at a bird bath. The next vision that I had was of it appeared to be a tugboat with maybe a barge behind it. It was going down kind of a winding river that was in a fairly dry and arid area. So this may have been a loved one who perhaps emigrated from an area such as that, someplace like Egypt or Africa perhaps. They may have actually worked on a boat. This could be someone who is wherever you are now and works on a boat or works on boats. It could be someone who collects model boats or builds boats, maybe like the boat in the in a bottle kind of a thing. But it very much looked like a tugboat. I know there's also some children's stories perhaps that have to do with the tugboat, the little tug or something along those lines. So that also rings a bell with regard to this vision. So this may have been someone who read you stories. And one of those stories might have been about a little tugboat. There was also a vision of a moon, but the moon was more of a man in the moon kind of children's depiction. So this could have been a teacher that you had, or it may have been a loved one who was a teacher for young children perhaps. Could have been someone who gave you a picture of the moon that was in your room as a child. This could have been someone who had pictures of the moon or moon objects in their home that they collected. This could have been someone who took you out to look at the moon when it was full, and told you stories about the moon, but somehow connected to the moon, but in a very childlike way. The next vision that I saw was a stove, and not like a cooking stove. It was more like a wood stove or a pot-bellied stove. So a black metal type of a stove. So this may have been someone who had a wood stove in their house. This may have been someone who lived kind of in a remote area where they used a wood stove for heat. I definitely got that impression that this may have been their source of heat, or a source of heat where they lived. It could have been someone who worked, maybe with steel and built things like a pot-bellied stove or a wood stove. Could have been someone who collected those, or perhaps it was someone who had one in their home just sort of as a, more of a conversation piece than something that they actually used, although they may have used it from time to time as well. Then I saw a dog. It was a whitish or more blondish, actually, like a terrier or a schnauzer type of dog. So this may have been someone who had that type of dog. I got sort of a grandmother vibe, who had, this little lap dog that was always there and kind of yipping around and greeted you when you went to visit. So that could be who this individual is that's coming through, someone who had a dog like that. I'm hearing the name Odie or Dodie or something along those lines. Opie. So it may have been someone who had a dog with a name like that. It definitely sounds like an O name that ends in like an IE. And then I saw what looked to be like a rock quarry. So you may have had a relative who worked in a rock quarry. They may have worked somewhere like a rock quarry. I don't know that it was specifically that, but it could have been some place where they drove like big machinery, like a caterpillar or a bulldozer or something like that, and moved dirt around, or other stuff that they pushed around with this big machinery. It was a dirty place. It was grubby and muddy. So if you had a relative who worked in a place like that, that could be who's coming through for you, or worked on big machinery, or was around, heavy machinery a lot. Then I saw someone who had kind of a skin condition, and I felt like it was like on their neck or on their face, down by their chin, kind of like maybe an H spot, or like just kind of some flaky skin, or perhaps even a mole. It could have been. So if you had a relative who had that was something that you noticed when you saw them, that could be who's coming through for you. And then the final thing is that I had an itch on my collarbone. And this may have been something that was connected with the skin condition thing. So this may have been itchy skin condition, or this may have been separate, but I think it was connected to the skin condition vision. But I just had a very distinct itching in my left collarbone. So this could have been even somebody who had a broken collarbone at one point in their life, that kind of gave them some trouble from time to time. Yeah, so I'm not sure what else to make of that, but if that rings a bell with you, then that may be someone who's coming through for you as well. So let's get on with the groups. This is a picker card reading, so you can pick whichever group speaks to you. It is a general reading, so once you pick your group, or more than one group if you prefer, just be aware that this is a general reading, and so some of it may resonate with you, but some of it may not. So take what resonates and leave what doesn't. And if nothing resonates with you, then perhaps this isn't the right reading. But don't force it. Just take a look at the objects that we have here and choose the first one that jumps out at you. Or if you feel, if something looks different to you than the others and it calls your attention, then that might be your group as well. So these 3 items are all Shungite, which is if you're not familiar with it, it's a stone that's found only in a particular place in Russia. As far as I know, I don't believe they found any more. It is a stone that forms, I believe, underwater or in very, like lakes and that sort of thing. It has a strong ability to be able to neutralize EMF radiation, electromagnetic frequency radiation. So it's great for keeping between you and electronic devices, because it can neutralize the electronic radiation that comes from those items that can be damaging to our energy. So these 3 items are all Shungite. So the first group 1 that we have, this is elite Shungite. It is a higher quality form of Shungite, and it has a really pretty silver sheen to it. So that's elite Shungite. The second group that we have, group number 2, this is a Shungite cube. It's quite heavy, Shungite cube. And then group 3, we have a Shungite Merkaba. So take a moment, if you haven't already chosen a group, and do so. And once you have chosen which group you would like to watch, click on the timestamp in the description box below, and I will see you at your reading. Hi, Group 1. This is your reading, the Elite Shungite reading. So the first message that we'd like to get through, please, Spirit, is who is it? Can we have some characteristics of the individual who's coming through for Group 1? Who's coming through for Group 1, please? Who is coming through for Group 1? Tell us about yourself, please. Okay. So, we got the Knight of Wands, we got the 9 of Pentacles, and we got the Judgment card. So this individual was they were a go-getter, and they were very principled. But they weren't, even though we got the Judgment card, they weren't a judgmental type of individual. They were very accepting of everyone. They were someone who wanted to include everybody all the time. They always tried to bring everyone together, to include anyone who wanted to be included in any activities that they did. And they were doing activities a lot. They were busy making new things, creating new things. They were always coming up with great new ideas. They were just full of energy. They were someone who, whatever it is that they set out to do, it worked. And it was fun. So everybody loved to be around this individual. And she was someone who, I don't want to say enforced the rules, but she was very principled, and she wanted to make sure that everything was fair, that she did and she included others in. But if somebody was doing something that maybe wasn't very fair or was being selfish, in a childish sort of a way, she was the kind of person that could sort of bring everybody back to center without making that person feel bad. She could bring them back into the group in a way that sort of quietly and personally let them know that they would be more accepted if they kind of towed the line, or if they went together with the group. I mean, if there was somebody whose feelings were kind of hurt, who thought they should have been first, or thought it should be their turn, or something along those lines, she was able to make that person feel seen and included and brought back into the group without chastising them, without making them feel bad. So that's who's coming through for you, Group 1. Thank you, Spirit, for those messages. And can you please tell us, what was your relationship to Group 1? Spirit, what is your relationship to Group 1? What was your relationship to Group 1? 7 of Pentacles, the Tower, and the World. Okay, this individual was someone who really helped you turn your life around. Wow. This was someone who stayed with you when things were kind of falling apart, when you were going off the rails, when maybe you were not following a great path, or maybe you were following a path that other people didn't agree with, that other people were trying to talk you out of, that other people were giving up on you. This was a person who stayed with you, and they genuinely helped you turn your life around, and they didn't just talk about it to you. They didn't preach at you. They went through the hard stuff with you, and they kept you company while you went through all the crap that you had to go through to get to a place that was better, to get to a place that you could see the light again, that you could start over. And they did that. They stayed with you. They went through all the crap with you, and they helped you rebuild afterwards. So that's who this person, that's how this individual was related to you, and that's really beautiful. So thank you, Spirit. Thank you for that. So group one, what is the question? Spirit, what is the question that group one has had for you? What is the question that they have for you or have had for you that you have heard from them? What is it that they want to know from you? What is it that they want to know? What is it that group one wants to know? What is it that group one wants to know? Okay. So we got the Empress, the Mother Star, which is a yes card. Interesting. The Six of Cups and the Two of Swords. So whether or not this individual was your mother, you thought of her that way, or you thought of her in a very motherly way. You're wondering if she felt about you the same way. And there may have been, she may not have actually been your mother. She may have had other children that were hers, or she may have been your mother and there was another child involved. You may have had a sibling. Whatever the situation was, there was a choice that you felt like she had to make, or he had to make, whether it was to choose you or to choose someone else. You're wanting to know if they would have chosen you. Oh, I see. You want to know if they still would have chosen you had you not been in such a state of disarray or need or catastrophe, or if you hadn't been so in such a state of devastation, if you had been healthier, if your life had been easier, if you hadn't had this, the word just keeps escaping me. If you hadn't had this trauma, if you hadn't had this tragedy, if you hadn't had this crisis, that's the word that I want. If you hadn't gone through this crisis, you want to know if they still would have chosen you, if they still would have chosen to be with you, if they still would have chosen to take you under their wing, if they still would have said yes to you, that's what you want to know. You want to know if you had not gone through this crisis, would this individual still have been in your life in the same way? Would they still have loved you like their own? Or if you were their own child, would they still have given as much to you? And that may be the question for some of you. If you hadn't gone through this crisis, would they have had to have... okay, so that may be another side of it for some of you. If you hadn't gone through this crisis, you're concerned that they chose you over someone else, and that because of them choosing you, they may have not given as much to this other deserving individual. a sibling of yours or their child or someone else who needed them as well. So there's two potential questions here. You want to know, some of you want to know, if you hadn't gone through this crisis, would they have still been in your life? And others of you want to know, do they regret having given so much to you at the expense potentially of someone else who needed them as well? So there may be a little bit of guilt for some of you that you feel like you took them away from someone else who may have needed them as well. So you're asking about that. Spirit, could I have a little bit more clarification, please, on the Two of Swords? Two of Swords, clarification, please. That's too many cards. Clarification on the Two of Swords, please. Or actually, let's get clarification on the Six of Cups. Clarification on the Six of Cups. Or just clarification on the situation in general, I guess. Okay, the Hierophant. Yeah, you're wondering if at the time they saw or realized that maybe this other individual needed them as well. Or were they blinded by, that's it, were they blinded by your need? Was this individual, your loved one who passed on, you want to know, were they blinded to the need of this other individual, or were they compelled toward you? And so they ended up not taking care of this other individual. And I feel like there's some guilt about that for you. So that's your question to your departed. So thank you for those messages. Loved one, departed loved one, what is your answer to that? What is your reply for group one? What is your reply for them? I think I need a different deck. Spirit, what is your reply to group one? To either of those inquiries. To first, would you have chosen them still, even if they hadn't needed you? Yeah, we've got the Seven of Pentacles again. So they still would have stayed with you. They would have waited with you. They would have endured with you, regardless of whether or not you had this breaking point, this tower moment. They still would have been in your life. You to them were very important. They loved you. They flat out loved you, and they would have loved you regardless of whether you had this crisis or not. So Spirit, what about those who are concerned about you being taken away from someone else? What is your reply to that? Okay. Okay, so yeah, so this other individual that was involved, they understood that you needed the attention when you needed it. They knew that it was something that needed to happen right then. It couldn't wait. They got that. They saw that. They understood it. They were patient about that. They knew that they didn't have to worry about the love of this loved one. They still had that love. They knew that she loved both of you, he or she. This other individual knew that your departed loved one loved them as well. And they saw that it was necessary that the departed loved one take time to help you through this situation that you had. They knew it was a choice that had to be made, but it couldn't have been made any other way. And so they were willing to wait. this other individual, they knew, and they were patient, and they were fine because they knew that this departed loved one loved them as well. So that's the reply to those questions. So Spirit, thank you so much for those replies. Is there something that you want your departed loved one, is there something that you want your loved one here to know, departed? What would you like to tell them? What message do you have for your loved one who's still here in this world? Okay, so we got the Justice card, the Three of Wands, the Four of Wands, and the Temperance card. So your loved one wants you to know that they want you to keep going on your path. They see that you are pulling your life together. They see that you have come to a place where you have healed the crisis, the troubles that you went through in the past, and you are beginning to rebuild. You are moving forward, and you're moving forward in a way that is creative and passionate for your life. They see that. They want you to continue that. They are supporting you 100%. They are genuinely happy to see you in a place where you can understand that what you went through in the past doesn't define your life. That they want to reaffirm to you that you have gotten past that point and you are rebuilding your life, and that's okay. They don't want you to go back and get stuck and mired in the problems that you had in the past, but they don't want you to forget about it either. They want you to take that learning that you had back then. They want you to put it together with what you know now and continue to move forward in your life, because they see that you are moving forward in your life. Your life is expanding. It's becoming much more rich. And they also see that you're moving toward greater happiness in your life and greater commitment in your life. You're becoming much more stable. Your life is becoming just more substantive. And so they see that. They are proud of you, and they want you to keep moving the way that you are. So that's their message for you. So Spirit, thank you so much for those messages. We pulled an oracle card ahead of time, so let's take a look and see what this oracle card is. The card is stillness. Stillness. So your loved one wants you to always take time to go back within yourself. They want you to be careful not to get caught up into the stress and the hustle and bustle and all of the busyness that can get us out of our rhythm, that can pull us away from what is healthy for us and catch us up so that we can't get out. They know that that's been a problem in the past, that's what potentially led to this crisis, was that you got so caught up in all of the external stuff that was going on that you had a hard time getting out and seeing who you were until you had this crisis moment. So they always want you to know that when you feel like you're getting to a point where things are getting to be too much, just step back away from it. Find a place of stillness for yourself and go there. Find your center again. This Two of Swords card that we had here is about finding your center. So the stillness is a place to go to find your center when you need to. So they want you to remember that. That's important for you going forward. So that's your reading, Group 1. I hope that your connecting with your loved one has been helpful for you. And I hope that you have a beautiful new year. Thanks. Hi, Group 2. This is your reading, the Cube reading. The first message we'd like to get, please, Spirit, is who's coming through for Group 2? What are some characteristics of this individual? Who is coming through for Group 2? Okay. We got equanimity, the Two of Earth, and suspension. This is an individual who was kind of the strong silent type. They were tremendously patient. They were very kind, but they were not particularly outspoken. They would speak to you, give you their opinion if you requested it, and their opinion was quite worthwhile. They were very confident in themselves, but they were just kind of a calm, quiet individual. So that's who the characteristics of this individual that's coming through for you. Spirit, thank you for those messages. And how departed loved one, how were you related to Group 2? How are you related to them? How was this departed related to you, Group 2? How was this individual related to you, Group 2? Okay. Well, I'm getting the vibe that this individual was like the same generation as you. So this may have been a sibling, this may have been a cousin, it may have been a friend, but it would have been a peer who's about the same age as you are. It was someone that you were really closely tied to, and sometimes you fought. Sometimes you guys didn't always get along, but you were always together. You kind of pushed each other. You know, it may have been through school that you pushed each other. Through competition. You were together getting into trouble. You were partners in crime. You were best buddies. And like I said, sometimes you fought like cats and dogs, but even when you did fight, you would always come back together, and there was a lot of teasing between the two of you. I get the feeling that you were maybe a little bit older than this individual, and you teased them about that. You always kind of use that as your upper hand, perhaps. Just to kind of give them a little crap here and there. So I feel that's how this individual was related to you. Thank you, Spirit, for those messages. So what is the question that Group 2 has for their loved one? Loved one, what is it that your loved ones here want to know? Departed Spirit, what is it that your loved ones want to know from you? Okay. So we got we got the 3 and the 6 of water. And we got the King of Swords. The 3 and the 6 of Cups and the King of Swords. So I'm getting a vibe that there was a lot of love between the two of you, and that now you feel really cut off from them, and that when they left, it was sudden, and it was severe, and yeah, the connection that you had, the just the time that you spent together. You had so many happy times together, and you think back on those happy times, and now you're feeling like you're just very nostalgic about it. You're grieving, and you just feel like you were just, you feel cut off from a part of yourself. So what exactly is your question, though, group 2? What does group 2 want to know about this? I understand that they feel a great deal of loss, but what is it that they want to know? What is it that they want to know of you? Okay. You just want to know if they're still in touch, if they're still around, if they're okay, that's it. You want to know if they're still there. You want to know if they're still with you. Group 2, you want to know if your loved one is still here with you, or if they're gone now, if they're just gone. And if they are here, you want to know how to connect with them. That's your question. You want to know how you can connect with them. So Spirit, that is your loved ones here. That's their question. They want to know if you're still here, if you still hear them, and how do they connect with you. So what is your reply, please, Spirit? What is your reply to them? Okay. 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 So we got the 3 of Swords and we got the 4 of Cups. And so Spirit is saying that while you're in this grieving vibration, it's hard for them to reach you. While you are so very sad and just feeling lost, and feeling down, and looking at everything as it's terrible. While you're in that vibration, it's very hard for them to contact you, to be able to link up with you. So they're asking you to find an inner strength to know that they are trying to work with you. They're very much trying to connect with you. But they want you to try and at least ground yourself. If not, if you can't find any place to really be happy right now, they understand that. But while you're in this place where you're stuck, thinking about how terrible it is that they're gone and how terrible it is how they left, they can't reach you. They're trying, they're here. And they want you to know that see, I don't even know if you'll be able to see this, but in this card, they're right here. Do you see that? They're right here. But you are busy grieving about them being lost. That's your mindset, is that they're lost forever. There's this infinity sign here. But the truth is, they're right here. They're right here with you. They're just waiting until you can connect with them. The 3 of Earth here, they're trying to work with you. They are really, really there. And they're trying to teach you how you can connect with them. So they're suggesting that you try using your non-dominant side of your brain. So if you tend to be analytical, which many of us do, they're suggesting that you find a creative way to take your mind off of things. Find a new hobby, do a new art form, write a story, sing, dance, some sort of getting out of your head way. Do something that is not your usual sitting and thinking, if that's who you are. If you tend to be terribly creative and this has sort of crashed your creative world, then you may need to reason through things. But more than likely, as most of us are, you may tend to be a little more cut and dried, thinking about things. You might be replaying the situation over and over and over and over in your head, and they're asking you to get out of that mindset. They're asking you to find something that busies your hands, that opens up your heart, something with color, something with music, something with something that just brings passion into your life. And so by finding that and by doing that, that's going to allow them to, your mind will stop ruminating on what you're grieving about, and even if it's just for a moment, they can break through at that point and send you signs. They are telling you to choose a particular sign, to give it some thought, and to choose a particular sign. It may be a particular color, it may be a particular thing, a heart, a feather, a rose, whatever it may be. And it can be something very unusual. We've got a couple of feathers here, so they may be trying to send you signs of feathers. We've got feathers in this card, and we've got feathers down here in this card. So they may be trying to send you feathers. So if you've seen feathers in odd places, that may be your loved one trying to talk to you. So, Spirit, can we have any indication of what signs you've been trying to send to your loved one that they may have not picked up on, but they may have seen? So we've got an actual letter here. We've got a teddy bear with a letter. So they may have been sending you some really strong, very specific signs. There's a bicycle there, which there may be like a bike bell. So you may hear a bell somewhere. This could be important to you. So feathers, bells, something that comes in the mail. There's going to be something that comes in the mail, and it may be a postcard. I mean, nobody sends postcards anymore, but there may be a postcard that will come in the mail, and that's going to be significant to you. So just know that they're trying to contact you. They're trying to connect with you, but they need you to, even if it's just briefly, pull yourself away from the grief. Do something that takes your mind off of it. Do something that you enjoy. They don't want you to be stuck in the grief of them. It's not being untrue to them or unfaithful to them if you don't grieve every minute of every day. They don't want you to do that. They love that you think about them, but they would love that you think about them in a positive light. Remember the things that you did together. That's what this card is about. Remembering, going down a nostalgic path, remembering the beautiful things that you did together. If there was beautiful places that you went, find those pictures, go back through those, remember those beautiful times that you had with them. So Spirit, thank you so much for those messages. And what is there anything that you would like to tell your loved one? What would you like to tell them? What would you like them to know? What messages do you have for your loved one? Okay. We got the Ace of Fire, we got the Seven of Fire, and we got the High Priestess. So a lot of fiery energy here, a lot of passionate energy. These cards are all very passionate. So again, your loved one wants you to rekindle the flame of being passionate about your life. They want you to move on from this grieving. They want to help you to do that. They're practically screaming at you, that lion or tiger there. They really, really want you to rise above where you are now. They want you to elevate your energy. They want you to elevate your mood. And with the fire signs here, they are helping you to do that by telling you that creating and things that make you feel passionate is what's going to do that for you. It's not going to be just a matter of thinking your way out of it. You can try and have more positive thoughts, obviously, but that's not going to probably be enough to really pull you out of any sort of grieving that you're doing. You have to kind of get more systems involved. Really think about when you were a child, what is it that you loved? What is something that is childlike that you loved when you were a child? It may be coloring, it may be painting, it might be dancing, it could be running, whatever it is that lights this fire, that lights this passion for you. That's going to start you back on a path of being able to feel them in a way that you can remember who they were, rather than remembering how you lost them. So that's what they want you to know. And if you need a sign from them, ask for it. They'll send you signs. Pick something specific. Don't just say, send me a sign, because you may not trust any signs that you get at that point. Pick something that is meaningful to you with regard to them, something that you shared together. And then ask them to send that to you, and they will. They will. Ask for it, let it go, give it a little time, it'll show up. And it may not show up, like if you ask for a penguin, don't expect an actual penguin to walk past you unless you live somewhere where penguins are common, which most of us don't. But, it might show up in a book. It might show up in a song. It might show up on TV. A penguin is going to show up somewhere. It might just be the word penguin. It might be some story that you're reading that randomly says something about a penguin that's probably really out of place for the rest of the book. It might just be the most random reference that you've ever seen before. So anyway, ask for whatever it is that you want to see from your loved one, and they'll send it to you. So let's see what the oracle card is that we pulled ahead of time. Okay, the oracle card here is Demon. And you see how there is this chain that is holding this individual, and there is this creature that is pouring despair and grief onto this individual, and they feel like they're chained, but in actuality they're holding themselves there. So that's what your loved one wants to do. You're holding yourself here, being showered by this grief, the memories, the pain of their passing. But they want you to know that they're fine, they're good, they're here with you, they're trying to connect, but they really, really need you to pull yourself away from this, because even though it feels like you can't, even though it feels like you are chained to this grief, you're not. And it's going to take a while, but little by little by little, you can move away from this. And so they really, really want you to start. And they'll help you as best they can, but they need you to take the first step. So that's their message to you. So group 2, I'm so sorry that you are in this place that is so hard, but just know that your loved one is here. They are here with you. And they're ready to connect with you. They're going to. They're sending signs already, all the time. You may have seen some and just not realized that it was from them. Again, feathers seems to be a sign. A letter or a postcard, something in the mail is going to jump out at you. So they're sending these signs, and they really, really want you to be happier. They have always wanted you to be happy. They love you. And so, find something to do that really helps to pull you up out of this. And you don't even have to really enjoy it when you first start it. It could be something that you just kind of drag yourself through because you know your loved one wants you to do it. But after a while, as you start to get involved in whatever this is, it's going to help you to kind of momentarily kind of forget the grief. And over time, that's going to build, and it's going to become, you're never going to forget them, and they know that. But they don't have to be connected to this feeling of grief all the time. They want you to try and shift that, so now you can connect them to the memories that you had together, the good memories. And there were good memories. So maybe that's a thing. Make a list of some of the good memories. Find the pictures. Find the stuff that reminds you of that. So that's your reading, group 2. I hope that it's helpful to you, and I hope that over time you do find this beautiful place to trade signs with your loved one, to talk with them, and you can do that now. Even if you don't feel like you're getting an answer, talk to them anyway. Ask them questions, ask them for advice, tell them jokes, kid with them the way that you did when you were here, play basketball with them, whatever it is that you did with your loved one while they were here. You can still do that. I wish you the best, and I wish you a beautiful year of 2023. Thanks. Hi, group 3. This is your reading, the Shungite Merkaba. The first message that we'd like to get from the departed is who they are. Can you give us some idea of who is coming through, some characteristics about you, perhaps? Okay, so we got the Queen of Cups, we got the Five of Pentacles, and we got the Page of Pentacles. This is someone This is a woman who had a very tender heart. And she was almost childlike because she was so vulnerable. And she ended up, she very much felt like the black sheep. She felt like she was one of a kind and no one understood her. She was very, very emotional, very much so. And perhaps she lived in a family who didn't honor that. She may have felt like no one, like no one understood her. She felt like she was so moved by emotion and anything that happened that was difficult for anyone else, not just her, but for anyone around her. She was so stricken by the emotion. She was a tremendous empath. She felt everyone else's pain. And she almost couldn't tolerate being in this world. She was so very affected by any sort of pain that she saw in the world. that it was really difficult for her to move through life day to day. So yeah, that's who is coming through. Spirit, thank you for those messages. Can you... Actually, I want to get some clarification, please, on the Page of Pentacles. Why is the Page of Pentacles here, please? Again, I'm getting this childlike energy, this passionate childlike energy, but there's something that she had to keep this hidden from a lot of people. She very much kept this hidden. So this may not have even been something that you knew about her, although it was, when she was a little girl, she was probably very, very... she was probably just very affected by whatever went on around her. She was probably kind of a sad little girl, but she was just very tender-hearted. But as she got older, she had to keep this hidden because people didn't understand how much she felt. And they didn't tolerate it very well. So she had to learn to hide this. This may have been an individual who was on the spectrum. This may have been someone who felt things, was a highly sensitive person, who felt things very strongly, much more so than those around her. And so she may have been someone who ended up having to mask this from other people. And so she may have seemed, as she got older, rather than seeming... quite so tender-hearted, she may have just seemed a bit odd. She may have seemed like someone who didn't connect very well. So that's a little better picture of who this might be. So thank you, Spirit, for those messages. And how was this individual related to Group 3, please? Spirit, how were you related to Group 3? How were you related to them? Well, we don't need the whole deck. Sorry. How were you related to Group 3, please, Spirit? Okay. So we got the Six of Wands, we got the Hanged Man, the Fool, the Two of Swords, and the Death card. So this is someone who was always around you, but you didn't know them very well. They were in your life, like your whole life. They may have been a classmate that went all the way through school with you. They may have been a sibling, but you never could figure them out. You didn't get them, no matter how long they were in your life, and they were in your life in a significant way. They were somebody who you saw like on the daily, not just someone who was there for holidays or something. This was somebody who was genuinely in your life. They were there, but you never really understood them. And so they kind of hung in the background a lot of the time. They didn't really interact very much. Everybody knew them. Everybody knew them, and everybody... But it's almost as if they were just kind of a ghost. Almost as if they were kind of a shadow. They just sort of kept to themselves, stayed out of the limelight. Everybody just kind of let them do that because they just seemed a little weird. And so when this person sort of removed themselves from the group, nobody really went out of their way to bring them back again. They just decided that was probably for the best. That's cool. It's fine. Let's just, let that person be over there. Obviously, they don't want to be in the group. So we'll just kind of ignore them, basically. So that's how this person was related to you. So, Spirit, thank you for that message. What is it that Group 3 wants to know from you? What is it, Group 3, that you want to know from this departed loved one? Okay. Yeah, Group 3 wants to know, you want to know of this departed person who was in your life. Did it affect them being ostracized? Did it hurt them? Would they have wanted to have been brought into the group? Would they have wanted to have been formally a part of the group? That's what you want to know of this departed. Did they not mind being on the periphery? Was that what they wanted? Or did they really want to be brought into the group? That's what you want to know. So Spirit, thank you for those messages. And so, departed, what is your reply to that? What is your reply? Okay. Yeah, they were hurt by that. They did want to be brought into the group, and in fact, it was being ostracized that, I'm sorry, maybe this individual may have committed suicide. But it was specifically being pushed out that caused them to break down. It did affect them. They did want to be part of the group. So, thank you for that message, departed. What message would you like to give to Group 3 now? What is your message to them, please, departed? Okay. The message is that even though they were hurt by this, they know now that it was really, and they knew then probably too, that it was an incredibly difficult situation. They knew that you didn't want to be the one to step out. They knew how hard that would have been. They knew you were just trying to fit in. They knew you were trying to fit in. They also knew that you at times wanted to bring them into the group. So they do know that of you. They want you to know that they realize that it would have been an incredibly difficult decision for you. It would have been incredibly difficult for you to be the one to make the decision to pull them in to this group dynamic that really didn't welcome them. You were just trying to fit into the group, but you did. They know that you felt bad. They know that. And they want you to know that they don't hold it against you. They knew it then. They even knew it then. And even though, they knew how hard it would have been to assimilate into the group. And they knew that if you had been the one to try and bring them into the group, that you would have been ostracized along with them. They understand that. So they want you to know that they know that and they don't hold that against you. Because they know that you meant well. But you were in a spot that really would have made it very difficult for you to do anything different than what you did. So they want you to know that they understand that and they don't hold it against you. So So that's your reading group 3. Let's take a look at the oracle card that we pulled ahead of time and see what we've got. Primordial. So they want you to know that this situation has been going on as long as people have been together. There's always been someone who doesn't fit in. It's a necessary component that those individuals are a part of the gathering, that are a part of society. They, since the beginning of time, we have had to have individuals who didn't fit in. Those are the individuals who create a situation that allows the rest to fit together by comparison. So this departed loved one wants you to know that this was their path in this life. This was their purpose. It couldn't have been any other way. And they understand that now. And they want you to understand that even though at the time it felt really hard, it felt hard to them, it felt hard to you, and it was hard, but they want you to know, they want to assure you that now that they've crossed, they know that this was their lesson that they came here for. It was always going to be that way. There was nothing that could have been done to change it. So again, they don't hold it against you. They don't hold it against anyone. They know now that their purpose was their purpose and they served their purpose, and it just couldn't have been any other way. So that's what they want you to know. So I hope that this connection with your departed loved one, friend, has been helpful for you. I get a sense that the departed is grateful that you have connected with them, because they wanted you to know this. That's your reading, group 3. So I hope that this has helped you in some way, and I hope that you have a beautiful 2023. Thanks.